Welcome to Season 7 of Paper Talk,
where we share stories about growing and thriving in your creative business.
I'm Quinn Wynn of Pinkham Hosey.
I'm Jessie Chu of Crafted to Bloom.
And I'm Sarah Kim of Handmade by Sarah Kim.
In this season, we want to explore the evolution of an artist's journey and the growth and struggle of having a business.
Plus, we'll chat with other entrepreneurs and artists to uncover their keys to success.
So get ready to unlock the potential in your creative journey with us.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Paper Talk. We're so happy you're here with us. Today, we have a returning guest, and her name is Janna Willoughby-Lohr with us. And if you haven't listened to her before, go back to episode 121. It was about 2 years ago. And we're so excited to have you back here to give us an update, what's going on with your life and your business. Give us a quick update real quick.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back. Since the last time I was here, I believe I've had another baby. My favorite surprise, Maven, showed up in 2022. So I have a 2.5-year-old daughter in addition to 2 boys, which makes running a company even more hectic. So that's definitely big in my world. I am back to the needing childcare during the day thing because both my kids were finally old enough to go to school right before she was born. So that was great. But yeah, since then, I figured out a way to take time off, which was awesome. I did take a full maternity leave, and my staff ran the company for the most part without me for 3 full months. And then I was really part-time after that. Then, I didn't think I was going to have that little baby phase of life again. I actually tried to really cherish it, spend a lot of time with her first year, and then kind of ease my way back into being back at the studio and taking on more jobs and things like that. So it was tricky to navigate because 2021 was such a huge year for our company, and which really had this kind of top of the mountain trajectory. And then I got pregnant, and I felt like that part from Princess Bride was like, it's time to go back to me. So I had to really pull the reins back on a lot of our marketing and stuff like that and say no to jobs. I was like, we can't handle that right now. So now we've been spending the last 2 years ramping it back up and going back into getting bigger jobs, taking over again.
What kind of jobs are you accepting right now?
Just fun stuff. We've been working with some bigger event planners in New York City, do some fancy guest books lately, actually. There's fun orders that we did for that. And we did all of the florals and decor for the Women's Venture Summit San Diego, put on by the Stella Foundation. If you haven't heard about it, go check it out. It was a life-changing event. So we did all those florals, shipped them from Buffalo, and then I went to San Diego to install them and set them up and attend the conference. It was great. So yeah, we're getting into doing more stuff like that. That's really one-of-a-kind, project-based kind of stuff, as opposed to production all the time. In general, we're trying to get into doing something that's really fun. And I have been working with a former employee of mine, Guy Goldberg-Petty, who was really the main reason I started making crepe paper flowers when she worked for me. We'd spent about a year just diving in, and I spent a ton of capital just training us both on how to make all sorts of flowers. And she started a company doing instructional design. So she builds online courses, and she's like a ghostwriter for courses. And so I want to work with you to take all of this knowledge you have about being an artist and being an entrepreneur and how you integrate the two together and distill it down into a course that people can purchase. There's so many people who need this knowledge that you have and this experience that you've had over doing this for 20 years. And so we're building a course.
What is your course called?
It's called The Art of Business and the Business of Art.
I know, so appropriate.
In the back of my mind, for years and years, I was like, man, I wanted to be able to find a way to share all the knowledge that I have with other artists and other creatives. I do that when I can in Facebook groups, and I do mentoring and kind of stuff like that. But it was like, in order to really reach a wider audience and to make it more kind of digestible and accessible to more people, it really should be like a good, high quality course. And I don't like to slow my brain down enough to figure out what things other people don't know that I think are really obvious because I've been doing them so long. Working with her is great because she just interviews me for a couple hours, obviously after knowing me for many years, that she just distills all the knowledge into these perfect little modules. I was like, I don't know how to do that. If anyone's out there looking to want to build a course and you're not sure how to do that, look her up. I have her stickers, right? That's her little logo. It's BGP Learning. It's her company. And we can share those links too because she's...
When is your course launching?
Our plan is to launch it in January.
Okay.
Fingers crossed. We did a Kickstarter for it. And we like launched the Kickstarter. We both went on vacation and I came back from vacation with vertigo, like really bad vertigo. And I had it for almost 3 weeks, like the whole time. So, you know, you only get so much time with Kickstarter. And for the first entire month, I was useless. You know, so we just were like, you know what, we're going to not do this Kickstarter thing. And we'll just, we might, when we actually have headspace to really promote it. Cause I was like, that's just, I don't have headspace to really do that aspect of it, the fundraising part of it. So we're just going to do it. We're going to do it. We're just going to help set the goals. So we're just doing it.
For sure. I think that's the reality, is that you do have to put in capital to create that product. And creating a course, what you're talking about, it takes a lot of time and effort, and I'm sure money as well.
We want the video aspect to not look like it was shot on an iPhone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different angles, and there's not lots of ums and ahs in the middle of it. They want it to be a high quality thing that they enjoy and want to pay attention to. We hired a really amazing videographer to do the filming and the editing for like the Kickstarter video and the whole course part of it. Worksheets, it's going to have pricing calculators, spreadsheets, I mean, really all of the stuff that you need to know, all of my favorite resources. And then there'll be like a bunch of kind of behind the scenes stuff about bigger jobs that we did and how we figured out how to price things that we've never done before and that kind of stuff too. Yeah. It's not just a, hey, I made $1 million, you can make $1 million. Thing. It was like, I want people watching it to really figure out what part of their art and their craft is sustainable for them to do, right? Because people who do crochet are like, oh, I'll just double my materials and that's what I charge for it because no one will pay me per hour. And I was like, no one pays you per hour if you don't ask them to.
It's so true.
And, you know, I was like, if making a scarf takes you 5 hours, but you can only sell it for $40 or whatever, that's not your perfect product. You should make something that you can sell for hundreds of dollars, like wall hangings, and do things that other people can't do with the skills that you have. And if you're not charging for your labor and your materials plus adding some profit into it, like you're never going to buy any new equipment. You're never going to pay yourself per hour. You're going to literally work your hands off and still end up on the bottom with no health insurance. So we want to make sure that does not happen for all the artists and creatives out there, because there's so many amazing creative people, even if they went to arts, learned absolutely nothing about how to run a business. Not one thing. When I went to college, I made up my own major where I put entrepreneur business and creative art together as one course of study. It's just 20 plus years ago. And when I was putting the two together, one of the things I had to pitch to the board at the school when I made up my major was why I couldn't just double major in business. And I was like, because selling art isn't like selling any other product. Buy one, get one, doesn't work. It's not why people like these
so true.
They still take courses about traditional marketing. It doesn't work. It doesn't sell their art. And they pay money for those and they get really frustrated. And they're like, why is this not working? Do I just suck? And blah, blah, blah. And so many artists are also neurodivergent. And so if you're really have rejection sensitive dysphoria and you end up putting out your art and you put it up for sale and nobody reacts or nobody buys it, and it really has nothing to do with you, a lot of people really feel like, oh, I'm an epic failure. Everyone hates me. My art is worthless, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of the course that or design that we're putting into it is a lot about mindset as an artist and getting to the place where you feel good about selling your art and you feel good about asking people to pay what you're worth. That's to get to the place where you don't live in that starving artist mentality either.
I also think it's so important to surround yourself with good people that will cheer you on and support you, because sometimes being an artist, we get so much in our head that we can't think outside of it. And we're like, if I make it, they'll come. But really, there's so much more to that. And I think courses like yours, courses like ours, we're all pushing people to understand there are foundations that you need to have in place and ways to market yourself and to be able to present yourself in such a way that you will reach the right audience that will buy your stuff, no matter what price that you set and you feel comfortable with. I think it's so important to really understand pricing, because you are not your own client. I'm going to stress that again. You are not your own client, because our mentality of how we buy things is completely different from what we make and what we target out to our audience. It's so incredibly important to surround yourself with people that will cheer you on and tell you to get out of that space and to tell you to do so much more. I'm really excited for your course. It's going to be really fun.
It's going to be really fun. And one of my favorite things about it actually is that we are planning on taking a portion of the proceeds from the course. I haven't decided what percentage it is on how many I sell, but I want to take a portion of that and create a fund that can provide childcare professional development events so that moms can go to professional development events and really learn how to be leaders and how to develop themselves personally and professionally. Because we just made these postcards recently that says, when women lead, the whole world wins. And we need more women leaders. And if there's anybody out there that can prove to the world that there's like super boss and can do all the things at once, it's moms. And so I have been so blessed to have an amazing village, like family and friends who watch my kids, who come help me pack orders. When I was a teeny tiny business and I had no staff, I had people who really support me and support my dream and make it possible for me to go to professional development stuff and really work on myself as a leader. And I want to make sure that I pay that forward so that others go do that.
For sure.
Oh,
I love that. Yeah, that's seriously, I think it's like my least favorite thing about being an artist. It's business. And then being a mom on top of that is really like such a struggle. I'm really excited for your course because I think people really need that. Because I was just talking to a little high school kid, like she wanted to do an interview about artists and how it's a career. And I was, this is really hard for me to explain to a kid that it's going to be hard to do art and then also be a business person, not just an artist. I felt really bad because I didn't really know how to tell her in an encouraging way, like being an artist is also being a business person. So I feel like you bringing those two in is going to be, really interesting. And I'm excited for you. Can you explain just a couple sneak peeks about what the students would expect? Because even pricing, it's so tricky in the sense of talking about it because we're all coming from different places. We're going to be doing it for different events. So maybe just like a one sentence of like how it could sum those things up and how we could expect it. How do we be an artist and be a business woman?
So I think a lot of it is going to apply across the board, depending on no matter what kind of art people are working on, because there's obviously people who do paintings and want to sell only original paintings are going to have a different kind of marketing strategy than somebody who's like making paper flowers or doing other things like that are mass production, hand production, or other art forms. Typically, if you're doing pottery, like it's hard to charge high price for mugs if you're making handmade mugs and things like that. But in general, I think the main thing about it is figuring out, is the type of creation that you want to do, is it sustainable as a business? And if the way you've been doing it is exhausting for you to do it physically and mentally, and you only like to paint when you feel like you want to paint and you don't want to paint because someone's forcing you to paint, what of your talents and what aspects of your creative process are you willing to monetize? How do you want to do that? And there's a lot of that kind of background mindset work. Because you can't just be like, I like to make art, I want to sell it, cool. A lot of it is really getting knowing what's marketable, what's not marketable, what is actually possible for you to keep doing by yourself. Most artists will not have a team, right? It took me a very long time to have a team of people. And full disclosure, I sacrificed my own salary for a long time to make sure that I had staff because I wanted to be home with my kids and really focus on my energy was on growing the company, getting the orders in, and I had people here that I had trained how to make the stuff. I think there's also that aspect in it that if you really are growing your art business, you may not be the person that is doing all of the making, right? Like, you might be paying someone else to do that. You might be paying someone else to orders or post on social media. It's figuring out which aspects of being an artist and a business owner, an entrepreneur, if you will, which aspects of that do you really enjoy? What things are fulfilling? Because some people don't like being visible on social media. They don't want that in their life. And I'm not just going to be like, everyone has to go and make videos of prancing around your house with your kids if that's not what you want to do. So it's definitely not a one size fits all kind of course. Like each person comes into it and it really makes them think a lot about why do you want to do this? Is it something that you want to be forced to do at 5:00 in the afternoon when you want to be going to do dinner? If somebody has ordered something and you're not done with it, are you going to stay late in the studio to keep working on that thing because it's due and you need to mail it out? Or how are you going to make what the type of art you want to do fit your life? And there's a lot of people who are creatives and artists who feel if you have a day job that is not art related, then you're a failure as an artist. There are so many amazing creative people out there who make wonderful, awesome art in the time that they're not working. And they feel free to create that way and to sell it that way because they're not forced to do it all the time. And that's okay too. Sure. We just want to make sure that whatever type of art you're putting out there in the world, that you're intentional about it and that realizing that, yes, it is going to be difficult. Like, it is not an easy road to want to be an artist and to really run your art business as a business. Really worth doing, because every single Monday I get up and I go, I get to go to work today.
So true.
I'm never like, oh, I have to go to the studio. I love coming to work every day. And
yeah.
One thing I knew as a kid, I heard my parents always grumbling, oh, I got to go to work. I got to go to work. And I was like, I don't care what I do when I'm older or how broke I am. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want a life that I wake up on Monday and hate it. And every single day I wake up to an alarm and I hate it. It's like, I don't want to do that. So I built a company that works for me for that. But there's so many artists out there that are just have figured it out in their own way. And so I'll have some resources too. And I'm going to link to some other artists and be like, hey, if you do this kind of art, check out this person who's been doing a really great job doing that kind of thing. Not go copy their stuff, but learn from it. Look at the way that they're marketing their things and see how that might work for your business too. I'm just excited. I'm really excited to just give voice to so many creatives who are sitting at home making art saying, no one wants to buy their blah, blah, blah. If out there and people aren't buying it, you're not marketing it to your target market. If somebody says that's too expensive, it's not too expensive. They're just not your customer.
Yeah. I think we have to hear that more. I think that's the reality. There's always a market for your work. You just have to find it. And it takes time. I love what you talked about in terms of fitting your art into your lifestyle. I think that's so important, especially if you are also an entrepreneur, because ultimately as an entrepreneur, you're working nonstop. Like, your business is your life. If you don't enjoy it because it doesn't fit with your lifestyle, then you do have to reevaluate it. And I think it's really easy to change our art. It's very natural. It comes natural to us. And so if we just lean into that, lean into what type of processes we like when we approach it. How do we want to make it? Do we want to make it on deadlines? Do we not want to make it? I don't make it on deadlines anymore because I can't, because I need to fit it into my lifestyle with 2 young kids, right? And I'm lucky though. I'm incredibly lucky to be able to choose that. But I think it's also helpful to, like you said, re-examine your lifestyle. Do you want to wake up and feel like you want to go to the studio, that you have all the time in the world to make something? Or do you like the rush? Some people really like the rush, right? They like the rush of, oh my God, I'm getting paid so much for this huge order, but I have to do it within a week. But it's so fun. So people get a rush from that. So it does matter in terms of how it fits into your lifestyle, because ultimately the reason why you don't want to do a 9-to-5 job is probably the same reason as you not wanting to do certain types of art, because it doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't make your life feel, you're not content about your life. And I think as an artist, we have the freedom to do that. Ultimately, that's why we make, right? To feel joy, to feel content in what we're doing. And for that not to work within a certain lifestyle that you have in your head, I think it's something that it sounds like, Janna, your course talks a lot about mindset, right? Kind of meeting of the minds between the art you're making, the art that gives you passion, and also the lifestyle that you want, that is sustainable for you. Because we all have different expectations. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different things going on in our lives. And if it doesn't fit, it's not going to be sustainable. And you're not going to be, then why are you doing it?
And before I quit my full-time job to stay home with my son in 2015, beginning of 2016, I was officially unemployed for the first time in my adult life. And it was terrible for me. But before that, I had the business. It was profitable, but I didn't think of it the same way. I was thinking of it. I still had a paycheck, right? So I was thinking about it. If I make money, cool. But if I don't, I made art, and that's also.
You're not like 100% in. You're only like 1 foot in, the other foot out.
And it was like, it was my fun thing. It was my fun side gig. And I didn't have nearly so much skin in the game because I was like, I don't need this. to survive financially, right? But then once I quit my job and I was like, oh my God, I'm forced to stay home. I have to pay for health insurance. We don't have my salary. We have a huge mortgage, plus also the added expense of having a kid. And my first goal was to make enough per month. I was still sole proprietorship back then. I was like, I want to make enough to cover my health insurance. That was my first financial goal in my business. And it really made it so that I had to change the way that I was thinking and about it. And when I hired my first staff member, I was like, I have to totally reevaluate all of the way that I've been pricing. And because I was like, if you have to run payroll every week, if you have to pay people, then the things that you make have to bring in at least enough money to cover paying those people, right? So you can't mess around with, oh, it's just my time. It's not worth it. That's somebody else's time. That's somebody else's paycheck. That's their groceries. That's their mortgage or their rent or whatever, or their car pay. They need that. And if people are trying to call me up and be like, oh, can you do this for exposure? I'm like, people die of exposure. That's crazy.
That's really good. Yeah. That's a really good line.
People don't really think about it that way. And most artists don't ever think about what they're doing that way to make sure that your time is covered. All your time. And so thinking about not just the time it takes to make that paper flower, or you got to add in the time it takes to shop for those materials online, the time it takes to drive to the post office or put that flower in a box so it doesn't get squished on the way there, right? When you charge shipping, you better charge handling. You know what handling is? How much time does it take to put it in the box so it doesn't break, right? Or it doesn't get squished, that kind of stuff. And really thinking about how long does it take to take photos of that item that you made and then make a listing on your website and do the SEO and do the marketing and build the Facebook posts and stuff like that. If every single item you make is one of a kind and you try to sell it for $20, woman, you're never making it, because you're going to spend, you're going to have to, like, it takes more cost to put it on the internet than it would ever make you selling that one product. Well,
So true.
no, it's just like, you're going to only make one of it. It better be really expensive, right?
Exactly. Scarcity too, right?
The prices these days, though, for everything, like even boxes, they're so expensive now.
Yes.
So you do have to upcharge your shipping fees. And even in general, shipping prices are so much more expensive than it was before.
Yeah,
I just
so
looked
much.
on my website. I got grandfathered into my website platform. But the cost to have a website these days is like a whole other thing too.
It is
Yeah,
so
if you are
expensive.
charging $20, you're not going to make the cost for even having a website.
No.
Exactly.
Like, how many flowers do you have to sell
Right.
for that yearly annual fee for your website alone?
I know.
And that's just a small fraction of the price that you have to pay.
There's so much more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it is
So
ridiculous.
crazy.
And then with inflation, all the companies are like, "That's it. Everyone else is raising it. We can raise it, even if they don't. Their costs aren't actually going up. They're raising it because they can." But it's like really thinking about the cost of your materials and factoring in the increased shipping costs to get those materials to you. There's so many things to think about. And I know for a lot of artists who are listening to this, are like, that's so overwhelming. I don't even want to think about it. But there's tools. I can't say enough about Crafty Base. I don't know if any of you have checked it out, but
what is it called?
It's called Crafty Base.
Okay.
I have a link to get a free trial on my website. I can send you the link for it to put in the show notes if people want to check it out. But it's an inventory management software, but you can put in all your materials that you buy in the quantity that you buy and the quantity that you use. Say you buy a roll of crepe paper, but you use it by the inch or whatever, however you're measuring it. And so you put all your materials in it that you have, and then you connect it to your sales channel. So Squarespace, Square, Shopify, whatever, you can connect it to those depending on which level plan you have. And it will automatically import all your products. And then for each product, you can make a recipe. You say, to make this paper flower, I need X number of this kind of crepe, this kind of wire. I don't track glue because that's too hard to measure. It's not worth the right? Maybe the labor, measure the glue, but I need this size spun cotton ball for the middle or whatever. And you put that as your recipe, and then you measure how long does it take me to make one of these. And it automatically at the bottom tells you how much does that cost you in parts and labor. Sometimes people are like, oh, I know how much I spent on my materials. I could take my materials. I could take my labor. I know what it is, but I don't need a calculator. I'm like, that's cool. And they think that if they charge that amount, Like it cost me $2 to make it. I charged $20 for it. I made my money back. I'm good. I'm like, no, you are totally missing the 30% taxes. And on top of that, if you're not covering your base costs plus adding at least 40% to cover your taxes, that's your break-even point. Do you have to pay rent on a studio? Add that in your overhead. Do you have utilities in the studio? Do you have a phone for your work? Do you have a website? Do you do any other marketing? Do you pay someone to come and clean? Do you have any other employees? That type of thing. All of that stuff goes into your overhead. And if you don't charge more than your initial cost, like your break-even cost, you will never, ever be able to do it sustainably as a business. Even if it's small. Like you really have to think about all the things that you are paying for to run that business. And I took this class recently. This was really awesome. And it seemed like it was the kind of thing that when I signed up to take it, I was like, this is like rudimentary for me because it was like basic. So I was like, I did all of this like numerous times in the last 20 years. But one of the things that they talked about in this particular course was like, it's not a matter to make more profit in your business. It's not just a matter of like turning up the dial on your revenue. It's not selling more because a lot of times selling more increases the other costs, right? So you have your dial, but then you have your cost of goods sold. Like how much does it cost to make that? But then you also have like your other expenses, your overhead. So if you want to increase your profit, you could increase your revenue, but you could also decrease your other expenses and you'll make more profit off the revenue you make because you're not spending so much money doing other stuff. So say you have a gorgeous studio or a storefront, but people don't actually come in there to shop. Are you better off dedicating a room in your apartment to be your studio because it looks beautiful in the background for videos and you're not actually paying extra rent? Is that better for your business than having this physical space? A lot of people are deciding, yes, that's better. I, however, need a huge space for what we do. So I don't do that. There's like thinking about your business that way. So it's not just, I need to sell more. I need to sell more. I need to sell more. Like sometimes you just need to spend less and figure out like what things are you paying for Zoom and some other video conferencing software? Where are you paying for things twice? Like I just switched over to using Zoho One so that I don't pay for like MailChimp or ConvertKit or whatever for email marketing because it has all these other apps that I use and they all play nice together. Like it just saves me a ton of time and it's cheaper than paying all these different things. And it takes a while to be able to set that stuff up, but just getting to the point where you can start thinking about your business that way instead of just putting out fires every day. And like just, you want to get to the point where you can think of it more as like a puzzle that's constantly missing a piece, right? What's way to rearrange these pieces? It's just like magnet puzzles that you have as a kid. What do they call? I can't recall, but they're like little magnets in different shapes and you can build different shapes with depending on how you put them together. So having a business is like that. And it's, I can make this really cool, tight, concise shape if I don't use those ones. Yeah. And that it's rearranging the pieces of your business to see which fits well together. Some people upgrade to a higher version of an app because they think it's going to save them time, but they don't know how to use it. They pay a lot of money and then they also don't use it. You want to figure out what's really valuable and how to use your time the best because your time out of all the resources you have is the most valuable.
I think you're so right. I think the older I get, I'm reevaluating not just like how many things I'm making or like producing. It's more like my time. How much time do I put into it? And then how much money am I making off of the time that I put into it? And it really comes to a point where I feel like my time is so much more valuable. So I really want to figure out like, where do I want to put my time into things? Do I really want to be making thousands of flowers with my time? I think the older I get, but I do feel like though, especially for really new people, this is a little bit of, you have to live and learn and figure out where you want to put your time into it. Some people may really enjoy just making the same thing over and over, right? And I think at one point I did enjoy that. I did have a time where I enjoyed that and I could like just have a TV show in the background and I'm just making the same thing. And I felt like that was like I felt like it was good. The money was good for that. But then now I feel like, I don't know, I do feel like I'm transitioning in a way where I want to figure out how can I get paid to be creative more than just mass producing. So instead of like my labor cost, I guess I want to figure out how to make money off of being creative. Like, how do I get paid off of figuring out how to make new stuff that I enjoy?
Yeah.
And it's going to look very different for a lot of people, but I do think there's going to be a handful of seasons where you have to reevaluate
For sure.
what your business is about and where do you want to get your business, right? Like, and it is interesting because it is all about like, where do you want to put your time into it? And I think recently for me, it is more, I want to put time into learning how to make a new flower, but how do I get paid for that? I don't know. It's really tricky. And I don't want to make the same flower again. So just because I'm selling the flower doesn't mean that's where I want my time to get paid for, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Jessie, you've been doing a really cool way to like transition into having art exhibitions. So you really spend a lot of time into that final piece. And I love that idea. Yeah.
How do you monetize that?
Yeah. Monetize that. And no, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
But like that's why being an artist is so tricky because you want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But also get paid.
Passive income. That's what it is.
What's the secret?
Yeah.
The secret is having the best clients. You want to have clients because I think every creative person at some point in their creative career is, I'm going to go do that vendor show. That's the answer. The vendor show is not the answer, y'all.
No,
that's not.
But sometimes
it could be fun though. Okay. So some people do enjoy craft shows and I did have fun in my time of craft shows too.
they do have tons of value for market research.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
Depending on where that show is, who is there, who the other vendors are.
Mhm.
Like you're learning about the people who respond to your work. And if you don't have a network already, if you don't know anybody, you need to
have
go
to start
vendor
there.
shows, right?
Yeah.
For me, the first year that I didn't have a job, I was like, I'm going to go do all the ones I could find and see where there's people. Because a lot of the things I was selling at the time were relatively cheap. I was like, if you're going to do a vendor show, you want to have most of the things on your table $20 and under.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're still worth your time to make $20 and under. You may not ever list those things on your website because it's not worth it unless you mass produce them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you want most of the things. You want every single person who comes by that table to be able to buy something. And then you want to have a handful of things that are between like $50 and $100, like nicer stuff that someone looking for a special gift might take that home. And then this is the best part. You want to have some show-stopping shit on your table. Like people crying, they don't even know that it's fake, right? Or it's something really special that it's like tells a story and it's super expensive and it draws people in. You want people to see the table, you compliment their outfit or something, they stop, they talk to you, and then you say, you want to see this cool little thing I have? And you like show them this bouquet of flowers. Or I have this little book I bring to like all the craft shows that I do. And it's like a little pop-up book, but it looks like a tree stump and you open it and it has a poem on the inside of it. And I read the poem to people and they're like, oh my God, I got goosebumps, blah, blah. And they're like, I need that thing. How much is it? And I'm like, it's $300.
No. It's
Okay.
emotional, right? Buying art. It's actually emotional.
You want that thing.
Yeah.
Or I want that thing. But even if they can't afford that, they are more likely to spend $50 to $75 or $25 when they weren't intending to spend anything because they remember that experience of seeing that piece of art, of connecting with you as a person, right? Like your energy goes into the things that you make and that's why people buy it, right? They buy it because they want to remember that experience. And which is why traditional marketing does not work for art because you can't convey that type of energy exchange in an interaction that feels like sales. And so you don't sell anything.
Yeah.
I go and I serve people and I give people energy and they give it back and people want to buy that experience. And every time they see that thing, even if it's not the expensive thing, they buy something from you, they take it home, they tell somebody else about it. And it's free marketing, right? The best kind of free marketing. So that's what I'm saying is like doing craft shows, if you go do a craft show and you make the table fee and the cost of any staff who was running it, including yourself, and however much food you bought that day, include setup time, include closing time, however much gas it took to drive there, right? If you break even on that show and you talk to people all day long, worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it.
I find craft, I've never done a craft show. I've done demos where there's in big shows. And I find that, yeah, it is about marketing. It is about talking, but it's also about feeling comfortable about talking about your art. And I find that we're not very good at that. We talk to other artists. They understand what we're saying right off the bat, right? We connect, we chat for hours, but then you try to explain it to a layperson and it takes a lot more effort. And I find that these types of shows where you're just literally showing your face and meeting random people off the street, I think it's a really good way to essentially practice explaining about your art, but also, like you said, having that type of connection with someone else about your art, whether it is sharing your enthusiasm for it or you're able to convey some emotional aspect of your art that they can also connect with. But I find a lot of it is your excitement for your art, your craft, even your business. People really resonate with that. And then that's when they're interested. They become interested because you're interested. But practicing that type of conversation, I think it's something that you can only do in person. And so, yeah, Jan, I completely agree with you. Even if craft shows might not be the best place to sell your whatever you make, maybe it's the wrong target, maybe it's the wrong craft show, maybe it's the wrong area, wrong time. The very least is take it as a marketing experience, a chance to market yourself word by mouth, or just practicing talking about your art. So you're more confident because it's a mindset game, right? If you're not confident about your own art and you're not confident that you should be selling this piece for $300, no one else is going to buy it because they don't feel that it's worth $300. So that kind of putting yourself out there, I think it's really important. Social media is important too, but honestly, you cannot beat in person, those types of connections and meeting like customers that way.
Exactly. And one of the things that many artists don't work on in their mindset is that it's okay to be confident about your art, right? Like, you have to be your own biggest fan when you're an artist. You need to shout it from the rooftops like, I am freaking awesome and you better get on this train. Because
yeah, so true. That's hard. It's hard as artists, right? Like our art comes from a really deep,
and we're second guessing ourselves all the time. Yes. We're always picking at our own art and we're like critiquing it. Next time I'm going to do this and that. Yeah.
Oh, that could have been done better.
Yeah.
Totally.
And yet pointing it out to your customer, right? Oh, yeah. I could do that one better for you, though. Sorry, the glue's a little off. Or
in your own, when you're making art, like you think about what you want it to turn out like, and then you make it and you're like, it's not as cool. Like it's 99% of the time, it's not as cool as you thought it was going to be in your, like when it is, you're like, ideal kind of thing. But making sure that knowing that it's never going to look as good as it is in your head is not a failure as an artist. And when you're at an event like that, most artists don't know that you should have an elevator pitch. Like when you post a thing on social media, you never know how many people are going to see it, right? It could go viral. 1 million people could see it. Do they actually turn the sound on and listen to what you're saying? Maybe not, right? Mm-hmm. But you can measure your reach on social media by what they tell you is your reach. But if you go to a craft show and you know that you physically had interactions with 100 people, how many people do those 100 people know? And if all 100 of those people bought something or took your card or followed you on Instagram, those are people who are going to start being your friends. And then all of their people at you because they want to keep that energy alive. They want to keep that feeling in their life. I'm excited about this person in the same way that people are like, oh, I tried this new shampoo. It's great. And they want to tell everyone about it, right? I'm totally. You want people to be fans of your art who act like that for you. And like, putting that out into the world and really thinking about what is my elevator pitch? Because you got to think when you're at a craft show, when you're in line at the grocery store, when you go to a networking event, any type of thing like that, you have 15 seconds to snag somebody's attention. Same way you do an Instagram video, but it's usually 3 seconds. In general, I try to tell like all entrepreneurs, all artists, when you are thinking about your elevator pitch, I go back to my days of when I used to go door to door raising money for the environment when I was like 18 years old. 18, 19 years old. We had 15 seconds. You knock on the door, somebody opens it, get 10, 15 seconds before they're going to slam the door in your face.
That's a tough job.
It's so true.
At 19 years old. And I was like, you want to make sure that in that 15 seconds that your pitch is, I am, we are, we do, we want. I am, we are, we do, we want. This is who I am. This is what I make. This is how we do it. And I want you to buy it. And here's why. But you don't even have to say, I want you to buy it, right? Here are the things we have available, which look at what they're noticing and then point, they go, right? And the more you do that, the more it becomes natural. So then you don't have to think about it when you meet with people. Then you can play around with it and add stuff to it and have those deeper conversations and notice if this person has something particular about their outfit. And you're like, oh, they might really like this thing that's got these flowers on it. Or they start saying, oh, I love daffodils because it was my grandmother's favorite flower. Now you got the in, right? What things are meaningful. And when I built my major in college, and I was telling them, the board, I can't major in business and art because they don't. I was like, what is the thing that connects those two things together? And it's social work. It sounds weird as hell, but like work. And it's like being able to work with people, being able to hear what people are saying when they're not saying anything, reading people's body language, figuring out how to say things for people when they don't know how to say them. And that's what we do as artists, especially commission-based artists, right? People are hiring you to make something that they think of in their head. They have no idea how to make. They're like, I need this special thing for this person, for this purpose. And then it's on you to figure out how to say that with art. And how do you do that? You learn how to communicate with people. Because really, that's all art is. It's like communicating what's going on inside of your inner life and feeling that connection when you get that with somebody else and they see it and they feel it. And you're like, we're on the same vibe, right? Why they buy it. And you're not out selling to people. And so many artists are like, oh, I have to go out in public and I have to sell my art. I'm like, no, you need to go out and tell your story. Shout it from the rooftops. Give your card to people at the grocery store. Give your card to people in the pickup line at the school. I gave out 2 cards yesterday and nobody asked for either of them. What do? You blah, blah. And I have a good, here you go. And they take it and pictures on it. Make sure, if you're an artist, make sure your card has pictures. You want people to see it. They look at your face. They see that picture. They see your logo. They want to keep it because it's beautiful. Yeah. Your regular business card? Boring. Don't have a regular business card.
No. You're not a paper pusher.
Yeah. Want someone to keep it. Oh my God. All the time on the soapbox.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait until your course comes out. It's going to be amazing. Before we wrap up this particular episode, we are doing life hacks this season. So do you have a fun life hack? It could be a work related. It could be a life related, a mom related, a kid related. What can you share with us today?
I had a really hard time narrowing it down to one. So can I do one personal, one professional?
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
My personal thing is something that my stepmom did when I was a kid because she was great at organizing and like keeping the house together. She gave every single person in the house a basket. And it was like she had a shelf that had all those baskets on it. So when she would go around the house and clean stuff up, if she found random stuff around the house that did not belong where it was and it belonged to a certain person, it went in their basket. Once a week, we had to empty the basket and put our things away. If we did not empty it, she threw it all away.
Ooh, I like that's a good one.
Baskets in our house. They're currently insane. I need to reset them. It's been a little crazy. I was out of town. But when you have those baskets, ours are in the kitchen. I think when I walk through the kitchen, I've picked up a bunch of stuff off the floor. I'm like, this is yours in the basket. Cool. And then once a week, I'm like, you better empty your basket because I'm going to throw it in the garbage and take the baskets. My husband take the basket. They put their stuff away or you keep getting rid of stuff else. And it makes it a lot easier to have somewhere to
manage. Yes.
Don't have to go and put it away yourself every single minute of the day because you can't.
No.
My house tip. I'm also going to add that to if there's things around your house that are consistently not getting done. Like if you're like, I really need to dust. It's gross. Like I keep not doing it. Pay somebody else to do it. And people are really hesitant to hire someone to clean or send out your laundry to be washed at a certain wash and fold service. Like, you don't have to do it all the time, but if the amount of money that you are paying someone else is giving you time back that you can spend in your company making money, or that you could be spending with your kids, enjoying yourself, or you could be exercising and taking care of your body, or like cooking food. If there's that thing that you're like, oh, I can't do these things I want to do because I have to do that, or that I keep seeing it and it's bothering me, pay somebody to do it. It is worth it because your time is really valuable. And you're like, is my time best spent dusting my living room? Hell no, it's not. My business hack here, I do bullet journaling. And you can see my handwriting is not lovely. My bullet journal is not beautiful. Like, the outside's beautiful because we make it. But I know a lot of people who are really hesitant to do bullet journaling because they see it on Instagram or they see it on TikTok and they think it's
super cute.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, power to you. But really, you're doing bullet journaling for you.
Yeah.
And something over form every time. When you're doing something like this, if having it be really beautiful is something that makes you want to use it more, do that. Take that time to do it. Make it beautiful. So things like put a fun habit tracker in and I get really gung-ho and I get all the fun pens and I do that. But in general, every week I set up this spread, right? So it's got the dates on the top and I make 4 to-do lists. Most people make 1 to-do list, but I make 4 and I split the things I need to do. Who do I need to contact? Either calls, emails, visiting, whatever. Who do I need to talk to this week? What tasks do I have? And that includes work and family stuff. Do I need to take so-and-so to the doctor? Do I need to pick up a prescription? Do I need to make muffins for school? Or if you have to do that kind of stuff, Halloween costumes, making content for so-and-so that you're being paid to do, that kind of stuff. All those tasks put on that list. And then I have a list of what projects am I working on this week and what is coming next week. And I fill out each day. I use my Google Calendar for all my appointments, right? So I fill in the appointments on each day. And then I go through and see where I have holes in my schedule. Where do I have 3 hours? And I have to go to the grocery store. I need to go to the pharmacy and I need to drop something off at my kid's school. If I do all 3 of those things in that 2-hour span, I don't have to leave my house 3 times. Not only are you saving on gas, which is great, but it helps you to organize your time most effectively. And there's so many artists, especially neurodivergent artists, who spend so much time sitting at their desk going, what's the best use of my time right now? I have moms, they're like, I got 20 minutes before I got to do this. What can I do in 20 minutes? It's useful. And if you have this sitting right next to you, you can say, oh, I have 20 minutes. I can write 3 emails and do 2 phone calls. And all you're in that zone of contacting people. I always do it on Monday morning. I'm like, who do I need to contact? Ping, ping, all the emails, call all the people, check. All the dopamine feels great. You check out all the contacts, all right in a row on Monday, and you get it out of the way. And that's the first list at the top for me anyway. I see it and I'm like, Monday, I do the contacts, I get it off the thing, and then I start sorting out my tasks for the week. If there's things on my list that I could delegate to somebody else, then I know what they are. And I can say, hey, to my staff, so-and-so's thing needs to be picked up at the printer. Can you go do that on Thursday at 4 p.m. because I'm doing something else or whatever. And it helps to make it so that your to-do list isn't something that is bogging you down because most people don't really handle a to-do list that has more than 4 or 5 things. It's so disjointed usually because you write it down as you're thinking of. And so you might have like, I have to make this doctor's appointment, but then I also have to like work on so-and-so's project. And then next week I have this thing coming and I have to do a proposal. Right? And so you're always shifting gears. But if you split your to-do list into like focus areas, like it is very rare that I have a week that goes by that I don't actually get all this stuff done. And if you don't get it done, you have it all written down. And I go through it on Friday because I usually don't write it here on Saturday because I'm not in the office, but I go through and I circle anything that I didn't do and I move it to the next week to say, oh, I still need to do this. Or it's something that I'm like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. I don't want to do that. I don't do it. I don't take it off the list. I've been doing this regularly since 2019. And I do have some free printables, like the outline. If you want to, I'll send you the link so people can free or whatever that fit in the books that we make them, or you could just write on them. You can use it as a template and draw your whatever. I don't care. They're not the most gorgeous thing. They're totally like function. They have
nothing wrong with that.
I even went so far as to make extra space on Wednesday because it's always in the fold in the middle of the book and you can't actually write properly on it. So the box for Wednesdays. So that's certainly my hack, is like making sure that I fill out my planner and I do it either Sunday or Monday every week and really keep myself focused on what the best use of my time. And awesome. It's the only planner I've been able to continue using. I have a whole closet full of planners that all stopped having writing in them instead.
No, that's great. It's a great hack.
Yeah.
I think we all need to do that.
Jesse, what's your life hack this week?
This week, my life hack is, so when I pack the kids' lunches, we always pack some sort of fruit, and with apples and pears, rest throughout the day. So what we do is we cut them and then we put them in salt water. And then just very quickly, it doesn't have to be too long. If it's too long, it gets really salty. But anyways, the chemicals, essentially the salt prevents it from oxidizing the apple. So yeah, we just pull it out, dry it off, and then I put it into the lunch boxes. But yeah, it's a good way to get their fruits and veggies in the day without them complaining about, oh, it's mushy, I don't want to eat it. And so yeah, that's my hack.
I love that hack. I use that one all the time. How about you, Sarah?
I had brought this up a lot on my social media, but my nail care is pretty important just because I just want cute nails in my videos when I'm doing tutorials. So I guess my hack would be I use this top coat called Gel Couture by Essie, and it really lasts like a week at least without chipping. And it's regular nail polish. So I did used to get my nails done regularly and it was gel nails, but it would ruin my nails and my nails got brittle. So then I was like, okay, I need to stop. And it's just getting so expensive now. So I feel bad doing that monthly. And even then, it doesn't last a month. I want to say it lasted like maybe 1 week or 2 weeks. So then without it lifting, it would start lifting and then it would make my nails brittle. So then I started doing my nails at home, and I guess my secret would just be that specific top coat is you do it with regular nail polish, but it feels like gel nails without the gel part to it. So it really lasts like a whole week with me crafting all day with scissors, and I'm picking on the glue on my nails and it doesn't chip.
Doesn't chip.
So everybody's asking, what do you do your nails every day? Because all my videos have pretty good nails, I would think.
Yeah.
It's like, it's polished. Yeah. And it's because I have that nail polish and I do change it like once a week, maybe a couple days in between. I'll let it rest. And then I put nail polish on before the next day that I would make a video. So I would say just to find that at your drugstore. And yeah, it's a pretty good one. What about you, Quinn?
So my life hack for you guys is we have to show our work a lot. And sometimes we don't have our paper flowers in hand, but your phone is always with you. I started creating albums of my work that I want to show people and videos that's on a folder that's downloaded, because sometimes you don't have Wi-Fi or you don't have reliable data that you can actually bring up your Instagram. So I have this folder on my phone that I just open up and I can show everyone, and I don't have to wait for it to upload or download. And it's there. It's quick and easy. And I also have a QR code in that album. So if you go to Instagram or if you go to Canva, you can create a QR code that will redirect to your website or direct it directly to Instagram. You can show it on there. And because they're looking at your phone, they have their phone. They can take a quick picture of it and it's now logged in instead of having a business card. Because a lot of people, I know you should definitely share business card, but I haven't really shared business card in a while just because I'm always out and about. And I've been very minimalist when I carry things around. I usually have my phone, and on my phone is a wallet with my credit card and my driver license. And then because sometimes if you have an electric car, which I don't, but your car will have, like the Tesla is on your phone. So you don't even need to carry keys anymore. So I'm trying to be very minimalist on what I'm carrying around. And I've always found that to be super helpful.
It's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, everybody, for jumping in this week and listening to us. And we can't wait for you to listen to our next episode. Bye, everybody.
Janna.
Thanks for having me.